Carp Talk, proudly sponsoring eXtreme Carp.
Now, smashing them up are words that you love to hear, especially when it's other people talking about your fishing. In eXtreme Carp this time, we're going to be doing exactly that and coming to you with some top tips and tactics to help you put more fish on the bank. The venue is this one, Brasenose One on the Linear Fisheries Complex in Oxfordshire, arguably the most popular day ticket water in the country, and one which, if fished right, can produce fantastic results. Now, Brasenose is 32 acres in size with loads of features, particularly clear water, bars, bays, gravel patches and weed beds, and it lends itself to all sorts of methods. Joining me on my journey today is a lad that knows a thing or two about fishing here. He's one of the young guns in the UK carp scene. It is Tom Maker. Now, Tom Maker's a real hotshot and is absolutely flying at the moment. At the age of 20, he's already been called up to represent England and has won silver medals on 2 separate occasions. He's qualified for the British Carp Angling Championships finals as both a senior and a junior, and he's got a personal best of 44.5 pounds, so he knows what to do when it comes to catching big fish. However, it's the smash-up expertise that we're calling on today. Tom, what are we going to be looking at down here at Brasenose?
Just when you get into your swim, sort of what you look for. Are the fish showing? Are you on the wind? Can you slot in between people? And just finding a feature, fishing somewhere that you can fish comfortable to, regardless if there's a weather like change coming in, trickling in the bait, getting a bit of bait going in, whether you're going to be using zigs, bottom baits, how often you're going to spod. And just basically working the swim. If you're seeing fish show, should you put more out, or would you put less bait out if they're showing?
It's basically working it,
yeah,
isn't it? The more you work it, the better it is. Yeah. I know you want to get your spot out as well.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to get this spot out there now, and hopefully we'll see how it goes.
Well, it looks like a tough day, but luckily we have the master of linear at our disposal. It's a spodding session and Tom will no doubt be on the solid bags, but first he needs a place to live. Now, Tom, you've plotted up on the point swim at Brasenose. Why this place? Where you could have gone anywhere. Why have you chosen here?
Purely for the fact that there's a southwesterly blowing and it pushes onto this bank, which pushes the fish into here, and also it gives you a massive area of water to fish as well, and also a good view of the lake, because you don't want to be sat in a corner and you can't see out. But whereas if you're here, you can see right up the lake, and if a fish moves somewhere else, you can see where the fish are, and if there's a swim free, you can pack up and move to them.
It's quite a wide lake as well, isn't it? It's about 300 yards wide,
yeah.
So if people can't fish that far, there's that middle channel.
Yeah, say the average angler can fish between 80 and 100 yards. So if they're both going out, there's like a 100-yard chunk of water in the middle that runs from this point right the way up to the other end, where no one can cast. And this from here, 100 yards out, allows me to sort of fish in the middle of that water, whereas there's no pressure and the fish are a lot more confident when they come in to feed. When I'm fishing on places like this, sometimes I can spot for 2-3 hours at a time, twice a day. So first thing first, I want to make sure the swim's set out. So I've got the bucket that I'm spotting from is on top of 2 other buckets. So when I'm filling a spot up, it eliminates bending down every time. Also a bucket of water there, so if the reel gets clogged up with stuff, I can just give that a quick wash down and that's ready to go again. So just filling the spot up, 3/4 full, giving that a push down. And more importantly is the area I'm fishing. When I turned up here, there wasn't very much ripple on the water and I could fish a lot further out than what I am. But as you can see now, the wind's picked up considerably. So rather than fishing at my maximum distance when I first got here, I've chose to fish an area that I'm comfortable fishing with regardless of the weather changing. So let's get this spot out there and we'll see how it goes. Just winding it, I've got a drop of about 6 foot down to the join in the rod. I'm positioning myself, legs apart, facing towards where I want to cast. Nice and comfortable, steadying myself over my head. And Nice punch out there. And the line's in the clip, and there you go. 100 yards in a rather strong headwind. Didn't take long, I did it over the other side.
Not seeing too much in the main body of the lake in front of us. They tend to be down there. It's a lovely position here with the wind blowing straight into us. You'd think that they've got to come onto the bait.
Ideally, yeah. This point on a southwesterly, you'd think anything that's up the other end would have to swim past us here, but they seem to have bypassed us and gone straight sort of down the other end.
So what are you looking for in your indication, whether you're up in the water or lower down as well? Are you waiting for rippers or just little tightenings?
I'm forever watching the bobbins on places like this because I'm fishing quite a tight line. As soon as that bobbin twitches, it can't be nothing else but a fish. There it is.
There we go, in the pink.
On the pink, solid bag.
Big one.
Awesome. Nice fishing it. There you go, half hour in the right place is better than spending the entire session in the wrong place. Solid bag, I've been out about half hour, just cast a showing fish. Proved the downfall of this little common, so let's get this one back and see if we can catch another one. Right, so before I continue with spotting, I'm just going to run through the spot I'm fishing, how I found it and what tackle I'm using to get the spot out there. So all I've done is when I got here, I got the spot rod out the bag, put a lead on the quick clip, cast out, found the area that I want to fish, nice comfortable distance, nice hard spot. I've placed the line in the line clip, I've taken the rod back to the 2 markers which I got positioned at the back of my swim, walked the line round, I know exactly how many turns round I am, how far it is. I've repeated the same process with all 3 of my fishing rods. Once they're done, I put a simple little line marker on the spool so I know exactly where I am every time. Put my bags on, every rod's been cast out to the same distance, and all I do is just proceed with the spodding. So before I do that, I just go through what tackle I'm using. The spod is tapered, which means it flies dead straight through the air, which is so important when you're fishing such an accurate and tight area. Off the back of that, you've got a real stiff harness, so when that's out there, once the bait's emptied, a few flicks of the rod tip, I can lift that straight up out the water, and I'm bringing that up out the way so there's no resistance on the rod at all. And finally is a glove. I've tried finger stools, golfing gloves, and they just don't seem to be man enough, or when it gets into winter and it's cooler, they go stiff and they tend to crack. This is a Predator glove. It's really, really flexible, and even if it gets wet, I can still use it and I can get full feeling of the braid running through my finger.
Well, apart from the one fish in the net, it was pretty slow, but with a bit of positive thought, Tom and I decided to do something about it. Well, Tom, it doesn't seem to be happening on the bait, but we're seeing the lads on the far bank over there, they've caught 1 or 2. I reckon it might well be worth a move, even if it's just a skip round the corner. Yeah,
definitely, yeah, because we're on the point of the lake, you've got, even though you're only going to be in the 2 swims here, you're covering water that way, but the fish obviously push that way. But they've done the complete opposite to what I thought they would do. They've followed it down off the back of the wind, obviously where it's a bit warmer. Like I say, they've picked a few fish up there, so yeah, I'm going to hop the other side of you and fish a different part of the lake, more into the bay, and hopefully I can intercept them as they come down.
Here he is, look.
That's the lead. That's the thing, I always use a smaller swivel than what the insert's made for. So when you get a bite like this, it's sort of a fixed running lead, if you like, because you see some people, they wedge the swivels into them. But at least with this, if there is a breakage of any sort, the lead can just flick off the back of the leader. Hey.
There we go, he's in.
Nice one, cheers.
A quick reward for a bit of ingenuity, and Tom's techniques were working a treat, but I couldn't help but wonder just what is in his spod mix.
When I fish up on places like Brasenose, I go through loads and loads of spod mix. So this is the finished spod mix that I've been using. Just got everything in it, from hemp, party blend, pellets, chop boilies, and also nut sludge as well, which creates a really, really nice cloud in the water. So first of all, that's the party blend that I'm using. That is the main ingredient, purely for the fact that it's cheap. I can bring it down dry, pour boiling water over it, and within a few hours it's prepared. Loads of different smells and flavours in there, so that makes up the bulk of my mix. Then I want to response pellets. These ones are cell flavour because the fish in here absolutely love cell, so I'll put plenty of them in there, plus they soak up the water as well, and they'll expand on the bottom, and they'll just let smells and flavours out for ages. Then hemp. Every spod mix has to have a bit of hemp in it because the fish love it. I've got a bit of maize in there, a few maple peas, just anything really to bulk it out. So loads of that goes in as well. And then also put in nut sludge, because places like Brasenose, the fish, when they do get up over the spod mix, you can catch them up in the mid-water as well. So as that stuff will sink quite quick, that stuff there will linger in the water and create a cloud, which means that there's fish all day around my zig, and hopefully I can pick them off up in the upper layers as well. And the last thing I put into my mix are these cell boilers. I just crush a few of them up, put them in the mix, and that's ready to go out into the lake.
Many people prefer just to use floating pet foods when they're fishing on the surface for carp during the summer. However, you get better nutritional value for the carp by using a floating trout pellet such as these. So what I'm going to do, just pop them into the bucket there. And then to give them a further boost, a bit of extra flavour, I've got this Esterbri spray. All we're simply going to do is just give them a good spray, around 6 squirts to 1 bag of those floating trout pellets. Give them a good mix around with our hand like that to spread the flavour nice and evenly. Then when we fire those out, we'll get a good flavour trail going through the water, which will draw the carp to the area that we're fishing in, and it also creates a nice flat spot on the surface. So if there's any waves, you get a nice flat area, which makes it easier to see your bait floating on the surface and to see the carp as they approach it, giving you a bit of advance warning before you get that take.
Welcome back to the Extreme Carp Show, and you rejoin us at Linear Fisheries. I'm here with young gun Tom Maker, who's been bagging on his special spod mix. Naturally, I'm looking to land a few myself. Now, Tom tells me the key to this place is bait, and I've used quite a lot of it. I'd just like to talk you through the spod mix that I've got down here. It's actually very similar to Tom's, but I've got mine very, very sloppy. Hemp, party blend, pellets, nut sludge, but I've got a secret ingredient that I add to mine, and that is curry. I like to drop a little bit of chicken tikka masala in there, would you believe it? But it does work very, very well indeed. Now, the spod, because it's a very silver day, black stands out a bit more, so I've just popped the yellow nose cone off, put a black one on, and I can use this as a marker. The idea is that when I cast out, it's going to hit the clip, it'll sit there on the surface, and then I can cast my other rod straight at that if I need to, and it means I haven't got to be using marker floats to find the distance, etc, etc. So look at that, you can see how wet it is there. It's just glopping out of that spod all over the place. The wind's picking up now, it's going to be very, very tricky. I'm just shy of 100 yards, so putting a reasonable drop on, stepping back with the right foot, arms outstretched and overhead, I'm aiming for my spot, and wallop! Hold it out, waiting for that to hit the clip. It's hit the clip, and lower the spod down nicely. You don't want a badoosh. What you want is a little slap when it lands on there. Well, I've got a great bed of bait out there now, and I've got 2 bags over the top of it. Hopefully the fish will move in and I will start catching on that bed of bait. When a bed of bait's working, it's great. You know, you're getting action all the time, but I don't want to put all of my eggs into one basket. So with the 3rd rod, that's going to be a rover. However, I have a bit of a problem. Normally in this situation I would use a PVA bag or a stick or something that I can cast out quickly, but there's quite a lot of weed to my left hand side under the water, so what I'm going to do there instead is use a choddy. Let's have a little look at it. There it is. I've got a ready tied 3-foot lead core link. At the bottom it's a 2¼ ounce lead. And then underneath this piece here, I've got a quick change link, so if I do need to put a bigger lead on to smash it a bit further, I can do that very quickly. Buffer bead there, and then onto the middle bit, which is the most important, the chod rig itself. Nice and stiff, bright bait on it. Of course, that will spin around and that's not going to tangle. And I'm going to be constantly looking at the water, and if I see a fish, I'm going to bung this on its head, and hopefully it will result in a bite. You
all right?
On the bait again.
Another one, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once it's been in the water a while, they get right on it, don't they?
I'll tell you what's noticeable though.
What's that?
They're all a similar size. They're all like shoal fish, aren't they?
I know. Must just be packs and they just come across it and that's it. I think if your name's on a bigger shoal, I mean, you could get a few decent fish, but I think for this session we mainly had the smaller ones, didn't we?
It'd be nice to get some of those big ones, wouldn't it? But
Yeah.
hey, beggars can't be choosers, isn't it? It's
Nice
fish,
one.
mate, isn't it?
Well done, yeah, another one. Another scaly one. They've all been
doing?
like nice scaly ones, haven't they? I think, like you say, just the pack of them what we're on. Oh, look at that. That's a lovely fish.
Linear.
Linear, yeah. Lovely, well done.
Well, it was great to get a few fish onto the bank, and seeing as we've already had a butcher's at my rig and a life lesson in spotting from Tom, it's time to see what his rigs look like.
When I'm fishing up on Brasenose, there's two methods I use. On a nice, warm, sunny day, I'll go for zigs, but on a day like today, I'll go for solid bags. So I'm going to show you through the rig I use and how I tie up a solid bag. So, first things first, you'll notice that coming out the back of the lead, I've got a stiff, solid boom. That's because I lick and stick the bags, but I'll show you that when I tie one in a minute. Following on from that, I've got a 3-ounce flat pair lead. These are nice and thin and they push nice inside the solid. Off of that, I've got a ring swivel, which allows more manoeuvrability in the rig. 5 inches of supple braid, which means I can put the rig and the lead all inside a bag and not have to worry about the rig kinking or knotting up in any way. Off of that, I've got an overweighted split shot, which allows my hook bait, when the PVA dissolves, the bait comes up out of the way of the pellets, the lead holds it firm on the bottom, and the first thing that the fish comes to is my bright hook bait. Off of that, I've got a silicone kicker over the eye of the hook just to turn it when the fish picks it up. That's knotless knotted to a size 6 super sharp SSBP hook with a tiny piece of silicone on the back of the shank just to hold the hair tight. And as for a hook bait, all I've got is a tiny whittled down pink Frutella pop-up. So that's the rig. Now I'm going to show you how I tie it up. Goes in there, get the bag, separating the PVA, just putting a small layer of pellets inside, just so I can nestle the lead down into, and turning that over, taking all the pellets down onto one side, and rather than having the bait at the top, I'm having the bait right down the bottom here. So I'm swinging the bait in, pushing that down with my fingers into the bottom corner. That's in there like so. So when I turn it over, the pellets hold the bait inside like that. The lead's going in, nestling the lead right down, so it's in the centre, touching the bottom of the PVA bag. Pulling the PVA up around the outside, pushing the rig in, almost look like it's tangled, but it isn't, it's all laid in there. Perfect. Then just filling the bag up, leaving a little bit at the top, like a little bit of room at the top to work with. Filling it up like so, and then this is where the plastic boom comes in really handy, because I can pinch the bag, tap it down, can be quite forceful with these bags, pushing it down like so, and I'm spinning my hand round, holding the bag tight, putting one twist on, pinching it with the other hand. So now all I've got to do is lick my fingers and just simply place it on the loose PVA at the top, and this is where the solid boom really comes in handy. I'm twisting it round there, forming it round, give that a few twists, and that is it done. All I've got to do is tuck in the corners, make it more aerodynamic, and I'll be able to punch that miles.
Suddenly the pond had exploded into life and we were both bagging up, proof that the tactics had worked. Plus, with a little positivity and observation, fish were making it onto the bank. Tom, that baited area is absolutely flying now.
Yeah, they've certainly got on it. About half hour before this bite, a massive slick come up, which obviously means they're down there rooting about, churning it all about, all the oils are coming up. Sort of, it's a good indication actually, before you get a bite, you can sort of sit there and get ready for it, because you know as soon as that slick comes up, nothing else can do it other than a carp.
They do move around a bit, these brasenose fish as well, don't they? They were at the other end of the lake yesterday morning. They then moved down to the left-hand side. They've now moved back up, and it shows that they do like food as well. All that bait you've put in.
As you say, as much as they move, you've got to put that amount of bait in, because when they do come past you, you may only get a couple of hours. And you can move on them and nick a few fish quite quickly, but if you've got a baited air rate, you can normally hold them in your swim and make the most of it while they're there.
How much do you reckon you put out now?
Probably touching on about 30 odd kilo, I would say.
That's a lot of bait for a short session.
Yeah. There it is, nice scaly one.
And he's in.
Nice one. Another one.
Scaly little beast.
Oh yeah.
Sausage roll.
Nice.
Not quite a pasty. Well, there you go, action yet again, and it just goes to show that if you get your tactics right, you too can bag up. We hope you've enjoyed it. So from me and Tom, get angling.
Okay, you're going to take a look at feature finding now and looking for suitable areas out in the lake to present a bait. Now, because this is so important, it's worthwhile having a dedicated rod for this type of work. At the important end, got a nice dumpy 4-ounce lead that should pick up plenty of vibration as it comes across the bottom. A little short boom section there, just to keep the float away from any low-lying weed. And then I've got an extra set float. So if I find an area I think I want to fish, I can play line off through the running ring, bring the float to the surface. I've got a nice visual marker to bait up to. So there you go, that's the setup. We'll get it out into the lake. I'll tell you the type of areas I think you need to be looking for. Okay, I'm going to line up with a marker on the far bank like a tree. Cast out the marker. I'm looking to feel this down, donk, straight onto the bottom. So before I even pull that back, I'm thinking that's probably a nice hard bottom there, but we need to sort of bring that lead towards us just to see what it is. Yeah, that lead is just coming back. Okay, that lead's locked up on the bottom now, so that's a sure indication that that lead's out there stuck in some weed. So just reel it in, just check see. So as you can see, a lot of fresh weed around that lead. Probably would have prevented my float from coming up as well. But at least I know that area of the lake now is pretty weedy. So what I'll do now is have another cast, bit to the right, see what we find out there. Okay, got a nice smooth area now. That lead's just zooming back towards me. It's not gripping on anything. So I'd be absolutely sure that that's a nice clean area there. Perfect area to present a bait. You know, we'll cast out, the rig's gonna settle nice, bait up around it, nothing to hinder my presentation on the bottom. So that's the type of area I think you'd be looking for. Whoa, now, bit of a vibration on the rod tip there. Could feel that back through my hands at the reel. Yeah, and again, a little bit of tippy tappy there on the end of the rod tip. Now, if you're getting that when you're bringing back your lead, more likely you're coming across some gravel on the bottom. Another really good area to present a bait, because you know that chances are it'll be nice and clean and your rigs will be presented nicely.
Carp Talk, proudly sponsoring Extreme Carp.